Coventry for this, the 35th staging of the British Speedway Final, the 26th staging here at Brandon. The first winner back in 1961, Barry Briggs. This afternoon we've got 16 competitors representing various clubs challenging for the top 6 places. Our top VIPs are here, Mr. Trevor Hedge from Trevor Hedge Racing. We also have Mr. David Hughes, the manager of the Speedway Control Board, and today's referee, Mr. Tony Steele. Chairman of the BSBA, Terry Russell, is here, along with Vice Chairman Chris Van Stratton, members of the Management Committee, and General Council members as well, all the VIPs in the world. But we're here to find out the very best of British. Top 6, as I say, qualify for the overseas final at Bradford. So, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you've got your best voices with you as we call them out by number, and competing at number 1 in this 97 British final, representing Ipswich, a former world under-21 champion, a GP star as well, Chris Louis. So good old Chris Louis then makes his way down to pick up his merit award for being a competitor in today's event. Trevor Hedge hands that over to Chris. The best of British then to Chris Louis, meeting with David Hughes and today's referee as well. Well then, Chris, as we advise you, 1 or 2 changes throughout the programme, so now let's meet the first of those changes. Representing Swindon, capped for England numerous times. The British final wouldn't be a British final without Alan Rossiter. Well, an indoor ice master, of course, and Roscoe getting the 11th hour call-up to compete in today's event. So, always good to see Roscoe from Swindon. Well done, Roscoe. No. We want people to see you. Riding at number 3, and we've almost got the entire Bradford team with us. Almost. I think we've got the entire Oxford fans, and I've no doubt you're going to be just as lively as we introduce top GP star, Mark Lawrence. Mark, of course, a regular England international and a previous holder of the Commonwealth Championship, so good luck to Mark Lawrence. Also from Bradford. Thank you. Capturing England last year, Gary Stead. Our good old Steady, a rising star of British Speedway, and happy to be here, as he has been a couple of occasions before. No doubt he's going to give it his best shot. So Gary Stead at number 4 in your programmes. We'll move on now to a former world long track champion, the holder of a 2 times British Championship, from Peterborough, Calvin Tatum. Oh, we heard that. So Calvin Tatum then, no stranger to Coventry, a former Bees rider from a few years ago, gets to meet our VIPs, picks up his shield, and eventually climbs aboard our parade train. Another change for you coming up now, but we're pleased to announce the winners this afternoon from Long Eaton, replacing Monty Newgard, is Carl Stonehewer. Well, of course, Carl's got a very speckled career, third in last year's British final. No doubt he wants to go 2 stages better. So Carl's Tony having a bit of a joke with our ref, Tony Steele here. Let's move on to the Ipswich rider, Scott Nichols. Right, you Scott. Second in the recent staging of the British Under-21 Championships. Scott, of course, being capped for the England Test match side. So welcome Scott Nichols then at number 7 in your programmes. Now, man has been around Speedway quite a long time. By looking at his age, you'd think, nah, it's impossible. But he has, because he started very young indeed, unattached at the moment, with a former Bradford rider, and an capped England international, Sean Wilson. Sean, of course, the product from the old BL2 junior racing. And again, another former Coventry rider. There he goes, Sean Wilson, aboard our parade vehicle. Ladies and gentlemen, representing Coventry, 3 times holder of the British Championship, at number 9, Andy Smith. Andy, of course, GP star last year, a former world finalist as well, and England international, as we told you, former 3 times holder of this British Championship meeting. Andy Smith from Coventry at number 9. Representing Eastbourne. Oh, you're over there. Right, representing Eastbourne. A return to track action from him for a terrible layoff because of injury last year. He's going to give it 125% effort today. Dean Barker. Our good old team, no stranger to a British final, no stranger to riding for England either. One of the mainstays with the Eagles in 97. Dean Barker at number 10. Now then, representing Oxford, and a great semi-final win for him at the semi-final stage at Exeter. Let's welcome in Neville Tatum. Well, Neville currently enjoying a high-profile status with the Cheetahs this year in the Premier League. We wish him well. Neville Tatum at number 11. Representing Bradford, David Welch. Here he comes. David, a solid, dependable scorer. Had to turn a few heads today. David, the quiet man of Speedway, gets his award from Tony Steele, our referee, as we announce David Welch at number 12 in your programmes. Also from Bradford, former World Speedway champion, former holder of the coveted title, British champion, Gary Hamilton. The banter already starting with Gaza, a regular captain of the England Test match side, and as we told you, former holder of this event. So Gary Havelock then, with number 13. The Army from Odsal welcoming in Gaza. Representing Sheffield. Right, number 14, Scotty Smith. Well, Scott making his debut in British final today, and the winner of the Sheffield semi-final as well. We wish him well. The Scott then, Scott Smith at number 14. At number 15, from Eastbourne, David Norris. Again, David, like Dean Barker, a regular England international. Bit of a layoff a couple of seasons ago, didn't do his career very much good, but he's back in the winning frame. At 15, David Norris. Ladies and gentlemen, the reigning British champion from Bradford, Joe Screen. Well, Joe picked up the British final championship award last year, as you'll remember, former World Under-21 champion and a regular England rider as well. Joe Screen at number 16. Now, as we've advised you, our reserve for the meeting from Stoke, and the former world number 2, Les Collins. Come on, let's give him a round of applause. The good old name of Collins in Speedway's been around a long time, and Les flies the family flag again. So, ladies and gentlemen, the competitors for this 1997 British Final Championship. We'll bring them round for a complete lap of parade. We'll keep you abreast of the changes as they turn heat by heat. So ladies and gentlemen, the competitors then for the British Speedway Championship on track right now. The riders then, with our parade vehicles on the home straight away. And come on, ladies and gentlemen, let's give them the best of British. A rousing round send up then for the 16 competitors for the British final, chasing those top 6 places to progress their careers forward to the overseas final at Bradford later in the month, and eventually we hope through to next year's Grand Prix. So there we are, all 16 competitors, having had a chance now to meet and greet them. We'll dispatch them into the pits, ready to turn them around for our opening heat, heat number 1 of the British, as colleague David Hammond sets the scene for us in a moment. Number 2, Roscoe then from Swindon, in blue.
Riders coming out then for heat number 1 of the 1997 British final. The combination of sun and wind is going to make it very difficult for Colin Meredith to keep the dust down. The track looks in absolutely superb nick for the start of the meeting. I say with the combination of sun and this strong cold wind, it is going to make it very difficult indeed. But the riders in for heat number 1, it's riding in red from the Ipswich Witches, Grand Prix star Chris Louis, has never yet won this British final. At number 2, a change in the programme. Paul Thorpe, they suddenly found out they've got a German licence instead of an English licence, so he can't ride in the British final, which has done nothing for the quality of the meeting. And coming in to replace him from the Swindon Robins, it's Alan Rossiter. At number 3, in the white helmet, from the Bradford Dukes, the current Golden Helmet match race champion, his 5th British final, Grand Prix star. Has never really had the best of luck in these British final meetings. It's Mark Loram. And at number 4, in yellow and black, in heat number 1, qualified from the semi-final stages. A superb second string job at top of the table, Bradford, it's Gary Stead. So can Chris Louis put it together in this 1997 British final? I say he's never had the best of luck in these meetings. He's on gate 1. It's Alan Rossiter on gate 2, Mark Loram gate 3, Gary Stead gate number 4. Tony Steele in charge of proceedings here this afternoon.
Gate number 3 in white, Mark Loram, and gate number 4.
For this, the 35th British final. Wind really howling across the stadium at the moment. It's a good job the sun is out, or it would be, in fact, be a very cold afternoon. But the riders to and throwing in their respective positions at the gate for this heat number 1. So Louis, Rossiter, Loram and Stead. Chris Louis being told he's too close there to Alan Rossiter in that one gate, has to move over to come back into line. Finally settled in for heat number 1. All 4 ready. A clean break, Louis makes a good start. Rossiter gets out with him, and it's Mark Loram's got a big handful around the outside, and Stead trying to get through on the inside as Louis leads to the backspin lap number 1. Loram gets round Stead to move for the second. Stead in third with Rossiter, the one-time race leader, finding himself at the back of the complete lap 1 then. Louis clear of Loram. Stead in third. Rossiter at the back. And the back straight they go once again, and slowly but surely Chris Louis building himself a lead now in this heat 2. Loram in second place. Stead in third. Rossiter at the back, equally spread these 4 riders in heat number 1 of the 1997 British Challenge Final. And Grand Prix star Chris Louis, your clear leader from Bradford, and Mark Loram in second. These 2 pulling away from Stead in third, with Rossiter at the back as the last lap flag goes out then for your leader Chris Louis. Still Loram in second, Stead in third. Rossiter with ominous blue smoke coming out of the chain, getting towed off at the back, and they make their way down the back straight 44 times. So it looks like 3 points coming up for the winner of heat number 1, Chris Louis. He's going to pick up the 3 points here. Second is Mark Loram. Third place, it's Gary Stead.
Chris Louis then opens up his British final current accounts with a 3 points victory. and has the backing of Brian Griffin behind him. Brian Griffin Racing. Brian is here this afternoon. David Hammond up in race control has the official results for us, and I will tell you about the different flags we've got on the infield.
Thanks, Peter. Yes, the result then of heat number 1 and the win in red for Chris Louis. His winning time was 63.1 seconds. Second in white was Mark Lorham, and third in yellow-black, Gary Stead.
Last year's World 1996 World Long Track Champion, it's Calvin Tatum riding in red. Coming in blue from the Ipswich Witches, qualified from the semi-finals. Comes through this his first British final, it's Scott Nicholls in blue. In white, replacing the injured Martin Dugard, the shock man of last season when he finished in third place. He's also come through the semi-final qualifying stages. Right along Eton Invaders, it's Carl Stonehewer. And riding in white, the top scorer from the two semi-finals without the British League base this season, rather surprisingly, it's Sean Wilson. So Tatum, Nicholls, Stonehewer and Wilson, heat number 2.
White and Sean Wilson from the outside in yellow and black.
So the forward has finally settled in for heat 2. Tatum, the last to settle, and he's very close there to Scott Nicholls in the 1 and 2 gated positions. All 4 now ready, green lights on. A clean break and in untidy hit there as the riding white Carl Stonehewer. Sean Wilson back the streets, round that pits corner, lead from the backstrap. Lap number 1, Wilson makes a super first corner. He's clear of Tatum with Nicholls in third, and Carl Stonehewer after making that dreadful gate, finding himself in last place as Wilson leads it, completing lap 1. It's Tatum in second, Nicholls in third, Stonehewer in the back, and they make their way in that back straight once again. Nicholls makes a dreadful mistake and drops back to third place, but a shot coming up in this heat number 2 as Sean Wilson, the clear leader of the former British champion Calvin Tatum. Stonehewer in third, Nicholls at the back, and they make their way into that pits corner once again, and Sean Wilson obviously very much with a point to prove to the British promoters here this evening, this afternoon. He's cleared them of Tatum. It's still Stonehewer in third, coming under pressure with Nicholls for that third place, but Nicholls makes a dreadful mistake again as Wilson leads on to lap 4. Wilson cleared them of Tatum, Stonehewer in third, Nicholls at the back, and they make their way to the back straight once again. So the first shot of the afternoon coming up in heat number 2 was unattached. Sean Wilson comes through for a comprehensive win. Sean Wilson gets the win. Second there, Calvin Tatum. Third place, Carl Stonehewer. Drama in heat number 2.
Has done the rounds, but no club in Britain for Sean Wilson this year. And I think a pretty sparkling performance from Willie.
So the result of heat number 2 and a win there in yellow-black for Sean Wilson. In fact, he has the fastest time of the season round here, Brandon. 62.2 seconds. Second in red was Calvin Tatum, and third in white, Carl Stonehewer. That time once again, 62.2 seconds.
Friday making his British final debut. Usually spanners for brother Calvin on these big occasions. The in the meeting by right here this evening, the winner of the Exeter semi-final. In the semi-final stage, it's Neville Tatum from the Oxford Cheetahs. In white, the only home rider on due here this afternoon, the 3 times British champion, looking for an elusive 4th crown here this afternoon. It's Andy Smith in white. And in yellow and black, coming in for Steve Schofield, who felt it was more important to go long track in this afternoon. Yet another rider from the Bradford Dukes. It is David Walsh, and this is 3rd British final. So heat number 3 at the gate. Away to a clean start. Smith makes the good day at business. Neville Tatum will go slipping through on the inside, and Tatum into the really taught themselves out on that first corner. And Dean Barker goes barnstorming through on the inside on a hectic first corner. Neville Tatum went in first. He came out third as Dean Barker found the line through on the inside. He's coming under pressure for Andy Smith. They complete till that one, but Smith locks it up on that pit score. Walsh and Tatum battling it, and Walsh in terrible trouble on that pit score. Turns it inside out, and Neville Tatum slips back through in the 3rd place. As it's Barker who shows then from Smith. Tatum in 3rd, Walsh at the back as they complete lap number 2 of this heat number 3. Dean Barker's a 3rd back in 1995, making a very successful comeback from what was an appalling leg injury. They've got good control now of heat number 3. Still Smith in 2nd. These two pulling away from Tatum with Walsh at the back. The last lap flag goes out for Dean Barker. Smith still there in 2nd. As they looking for that 4th crown here this afternoon. Barker then Smith. This Tatum in third, so the former British champions beaten in heat 2 and heat number 3 as Dean Barker gets a win. Second, Andy Smith. Third place, Neville Tatum. That's the result of heat number 3.
Win in his first ride, heat number 3 for the Eastern Eagles. His colleague, of course, Martin Dugard, a regular at international level, out for a broken wrist. But good old Dino and David Norris flying the Eagles flag this afternoon.
Result then of heat number 3 and a win in red for Dean Barker. His winning time was 63.1 seconds. Second in white was Andy Smith and third in blue Neville Tatum. And time once again 63.1 seconds. And
Rides in red. Scott Smith in his first British final, he rides in blue. Of course, qualified also from the semi-finals. In white, the reigning British champion from the Bradford Dukes, it's Joe Screen. And in yellow and black, his teammate at Bradford, testimonial meeting next Sunday, twice a British champion on this Coventry track, it's Gary Havelock. So nobody wants to settle for this heat number 5, so 2 former British champions have already been beaten in their opening rides. What would Joe Screen do in this heat number 4 as Havelock makes a good start but can't keep the front wheel down, and it's a ride in red. Dave Norris who gets the corner first, but Screen's already round Norris and leads the back straight. Scott Smith drops to the third, and Scott Smith, for some inexplicable reason, hits the safety fence there, got a safe third place, nobody near him, and he's in big trouble, and Havelock struggling at the back. The red flags are out, in fact, but I was watching Gary Havelock, who was in last place after he made a good start, but he couldn't get that front wheel down quick enough, and Scott Smith, who slipped through on the inside for a safe third place, just went from the inside to the outside for no reason at all. Nobody was near him, clouted the safety fence. He's come down in an untidy heat, and obviously will be excluded as the primary cause of the stoppage. I certainly think Gary Havelock will be glad of a restart there, because he was at the back when that race was stopped.
As we get the official word from David, up in race control.
yes, in fact, heat number 4 then stopped in the interest of safety. It'll be rerun without the rider in blue.
So the other 3 riders back into line then for the restart of heat number 4 after the exclusion of Scott Smith. So Dave Norris, who made a super start the first time and led into the first corner. It's no rider on gate 2, Joe Screen gate 3, and Gary Havelock gate number 4. Riders coming into line for this heat 4 restart. A clean break, and Havelock has made a much better start this time, and Screen as his front wheel hits the air, and it's Havelock who leads in the back straight on lap number 1. Screen in second, these two already pulling away from Norris in third as they move into that Coventry corner. Havelock rides the inside line, Screen goes to power around the outside, comes alongside his Bradford teammate, but Havelock leads him nothing, and Screen still back in second place as Havelock shows him from Screen, but Screen gets round Havelock this time and leads in the back straight on lap number 2. Screen then from Havelock, these two are a long way clear of Norris in third, but Screen's running the room on that bottom corner, goes much too wide, but Havelock can't capitalise by coming through on the inside. So the reigning champion leading the former champion at the moment as they make their way to that back straight once again. Screen clear of Havelock, Norris in third. As Screen again takes the wide line coming off that Coventry bend. The last lap flags out for Joe Screen. Looks like starting off the defence of his crown with a winning ride in heat number 4. Havelock in second. It's Norris in third. As Joe Screen now really stretching away from Gary Havelock as they move into that Coventry bend for the 4th and final time. It's a comprehensive win there for Joe Screen. Second, Gary Havelock. Third place, Dave Norris, and Joe Screen starts defence of his crown with a win in heat number 4.
Stages with that one, a real shoulder-to-shoulder episode between the two Bradford boys.
Result then of heat number 4 and a winning wide for Joe Screen. And quite a fast time, 62.3 seconds. Second in white, yellow-black was Gary Havelock, and third in red, David Norris. That time once again, 62.3 seconds.
Second place in his first ride is in white. Andy Smith, who also got a second place in his first ride, he's in yellow and black. So Havelock 1, Louis 2, Tatum 3, Smith on 4, green light comes on. A clean break, and Taylor and Lewis made a good start, but Havelock squeezes through on the inside. Johnson. Tatum's left nothing there, and Mercer's first one really got chopped up by Louis and Smith. There's Havelock leading the backstrap. Lap number 1 is Louis in second. Louis trying to come round the edge of Havelock, but Havelock rides him a bit and leads in completing that one. Havelock swept right across in front of Louis. Louis trying to cut back for the inside line. Now Smith comes into contention, and Tatum after a real hectic first corner, finding himself at the back at the moment. As Havelock then clear of Louis. Smith in third. Tatum trying to find a way around the edge of Smith for that third place point. As Havelock is that pits corner once again. Still Louis in second. Tatum tries a big burst of speed around the edge of Smith, but Smith straightens up the quicker and hangs on to that third place. Louis again starting to peg back the ground on Havelock, but Gary Havelock picks up a crucial race win. He gets the win. Second is Chris Louis. Third just behind Andy Smith. As they make their way into that pits corner once again, it's still Havelock then from Louis. Smith in third, who in turns now pulling away from Tatum. As Gary Havelock comes for a crucial win in heat number 5, he gets the win. Second, Chris Louis. Third place, Andy Smith. And after a hectic first corner when he was almost down, Calvin Tatum comes in last in heat number 5.
So the result of heat number 5, and good one there for the winner in red, Gary Havelock. His winning time, the fastest time so far in Brandon now this season, 62.1 seconds. Second in blue was Chris Louis, and third in yellow-black, Andy Smith. Their time once again, 62.1 seconds.
So Gary Havelock clocking the quickest time of the season. 62.1, so the time's gradually getting quicker. Heat 6 and Scott Smith rides in red. Dean Barker is out in blue. Dinny, of course, the winner first time out. It's Alan Rossiter in white and Carl Stonehewer in yellow and black. Four riders settling for heat number 6. Green lights on from Tony Steele. A clean break, and his Scotsman's making a good stop as Barker again goes through on the inside on Estonia, gives it a big up around the outside, comes alongside Barker and Estonia, shoulder to shoulder going in the back straight. Scotsman in third with Rosser at the back, and now Estonia's staying line round the edge of Barker. That's a bit more like the Carl Estonia we've come to expect on this Coventry track. He leads into that pit storm on lap 2. It's Barker in second, Smith in third. Rosser at the back, and down the back straight they go once again, but Barker only got the bike lengths behind Estonia coming out of that Coventry turn. Estonia, quick look over his shoulder. The gap's down to a length between these two as they move into the pits corner once again. Estonia rides the track. Barker again trying to squeeze through on the inside. Rosser in all sorts of trouble at the back of it. Look at the action again in the front, and Barker trying to find a line round the edge of Estonia. Might get round Estonia this time. Estonia needs to look alive. Barker's picked him off nice. That's a good ride there by Dean Barker. Now Estonia screws it on back round the outside. Goes back alongside Barker, but Barker rides wide, leaves Estonia. And nothing at all. Estonia has again go round the outside of that Coventry turn. Barker's gone wide. Estonia cuts back for the inside run, but Dean Barker makes it turn to 2. Second, Carl Estonia. Third place, Scott Smith. Good action in heat number 6. And Dean Barker, I say, after 2 rides, has got maximum points.
Appreciation as Davey gives us the official result.
So the result of heat number 6, and getting his second win of the afternoon in blue, Dean Barker. His winning time was 63.3 seconds. Second in yellow-black was Carl Stonehewer, and third in red, Scott Smith. The time once again, 63.3 seconds.
There, and a nifty bit of overtaking as well. So 2 wins out of Dean Barker, who is looking good at the moment. How are you feeling, Dino?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty tired. You know, I've done a lot of racing this week, and you know, I just hope I can pull it off today.
Nice bit of overtaking there.
Yes, the track's really good at the moment, and a bit of doubt on the outside. I saw Stoney take advantage of me earlier, and I had to do the same thing back to him.
Good luck for the rest of the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dean Barker in the Coventry pits. As we turn our attentions to heat number 7.
So Neville Tatum on gate number 1 on the 1-point mark. Dave Norris also on the 1-point mark. Scott Nichols yet to open his account, and Mark Loram on the 2-point mark. 4 riders settle in for heat number 7. Clean break, and Loram's made a good start from the outside. It's Tatum again. It's been a real quick gate. Leads that corner, but Loram's already slipped round the outside. They're really bunching up the second, third, and fourth. Tatum under pressure for Norris. Norris trying to get round the edge of Tatum, and Nichols trying to get in the action with a blanket over him. The second, third, and fourth. It's just Lorem still clear to front. Nichols now slips through ahead of Norris to move through the second place. It's Tatum hanging on to that second spot. It's Nichols in third with Norris at the back as they make their way in the back straight once again. Now Norris after that third place of Scott Nichols. As Mark Lorem well clear to front and Norris gets inside Nichols. He just gets inside and then gets an untidy fall on that Coventry corner. Quickly to his feet is the Eastbourne rider. As down the back straight they go once again. It's Lorem well clear then. Still Tatum in second, Nichols in third. Dave Norris pulls onto the centre green after that fall on that Coventry bend. They start that fall then with Lorem well clear. Then we'll take him out to make it a good gate. Looks like he could hang on to the second place, but Scott Nichols definitely getting close. The two British final debutants battling it out for that second and third place. As Mark Lorem picks up his first race win of the evening. Second is going to be Neville Tatum, and in third place it's Scott Nichols.
Result then of heat number 7, and a win in yellow-black there for Mark Lorem. His winning time was 62.3 seconds. Second in red was Neville Tatum, and third in white, Scott Nichols. Time once again, 62.3 seconds.
Oh, because look at heat 8. All right. First up on the track, Joe Screen from Bradford. Second up on the track, Sean Wilson, ex-Bradford. In white, David Welsh, Bradford. And we await the arrival then of Bradford's Gary Stead. Well, that is the showdown, isn't it, as the 4 riders come to the line for heat number 8.
So Gary Stead, who unfortunately blew his best engine up at Bradford last evening, he settles on gate number 1. On gate 2 is Sean Wilson, gate 3 David Walsh, and gate 4 Joe Screen. So 3 Bradford riders and an ex-Bradford rider line up in this heat number 8. Settle for heat number 8. Green lights on. A clean break and Wilson makes a good start. Walsh gets it when Wilson gets the corner first. Pushes Walsh wide screen. Screws it on round the outside and gets round Walsh and gets round Wilson as well. As Wilson lives going down that back straight. They gets the front wheel down quickly to hang on to his second place. The screen then from Wilson. It's set in third with Walsh at the back as they complete lap number 1. And Joe Screen looking to be in awesome form here this afternoon. So the first corner against William Street round Stead and Wilson. Wilson in second, Stead in third, Walsh at the back. Equally spread out now these 4 riders in heat 8. Screen, a long look over his shoulder, sees his former teammate Wilson still hanging on to that second place. Stead in third place with Walsh at the back as they make their way down the back straight once again. They really are spreading out now in this heat number 8, and Joe Screen looks like making it 2 of the 2 to be go along there with Dean Barker, the 2 unbeaten riders up there, both taking 2 races. So Screen then from Wilson, Stead in third, Walsh at the back, 1 into lap 4 this time, and Screen is stretching that lead even more over his former teammate. Stead a little bit subdued in third. Joe Screen comes in to make it 2 of the 2. Joe Screen gets the win. Second getting good points against Sean Wilson. Third place it's Gary Stead.
British Championship trophy. Can't blame him for that. And of course the goodies that go with it, the trophies and the GM engine as well. So the screen machine on target so far, 2 out of 2.
So the result of heat number 8, and a win there in yellow-black for Joe Screen. And yet again, the fastest time of the season, 61.4 seconds. Second in blue was Sean Wilson, and third in white, David Walsh. And that time once again, 61.4 seconds. See, they've got 2 riders, in fact, on maximum points at the moment, and that is, of course, Joe Screen and Dean Barker. And they're closely followed by quite a few men on 5. That's Gary Havelock, Sean Wilson, and Mark Lorem, and Chris Louis.
Surprise entry, as we said, Roscoe, to be in the British final, but as we said on the parade, it wouldn't be the British final without you. You're always here.
Yeah, not doing myself very good at the moment.
Can't seem to get a good ride. I don't really know. I seem to be all over the shop. I'm either spinning up or taking off. Don't really know what to put it down to.
So can you correct it?
I don't know. We're trying a few different things, but I'm all at 6s and 7s at the moment and riding a bit like a novice.
But you wish your score was 6s and 7s.
Yeah, definitely. Be a lot happier now, but hopefully we'll try another thing and see if that works.
Okay, we wish you well. Thanks for that. Roscoe, Alan Rossiter in the Coventry pits then. As we get the boys ready for heat number 9. They come out in that 1-2 rides, because as we said, for Joe Screen.
On we go then for heat number 9. It's Carl Stonier riding in red. Unbeaten Joe Screen rides in blue, taking 2 on the trot. In white, Chris Louis, yellow and black, Neville Tatum. So Joe Screen, let's say, taking 2 on the trot. Anyway, as they come into line, it's Carl Stonier on gate 1, Joe Screen on gate 2. Chris Louis just dropped the 1 point to Gary Havelock in his previous ride, gate 3. And Neville Tatum, 3 points so far. He's on gate number 4. So again, nobody wants to come into line first for this heat number 9. Louis finally comes in. He's very close to Neville Tatum in those 3 and 4 gates, all 4 ready. A clean break in Stonier makes a superstar, but Screen's got out in the Screen, gets the corner first. Louis goes to drive, gets round Stonier to move to the second place, comes alongside Screen, going in the back straight, but Screen has shown the fence to Louis, and Louis has to throttle back, and it's Screen who leads in as they come to complete one, but Louis again got a line through on the inside, and Louis roars inside, Screen leads into that pit. I think Joe Screen went to sleep there. He thought he got in the back, and Chris Louis dived through on the inside, as Louis shows Edmund Screen, Stonier in third. These 3 a long way clear. Neville Tatum, I'm sure Joe Screen went to sleep there. He didn't see Chris Louis sliding through on the inside line, and Screen's really got to work to get to Louis for that position. As Louis clear of Screen then, Stonier in third, Tatum off the pace, back in as Screen puts an determined effort round the outside of that Coventry turn. He's still 10 yards behind Louis as they move on to 4. Louis then from Screen. It's Stonier in third. Tatum in the back and Screens alongside Louis, going in the back straight on lap 4, could be interesting. Last corner, Louis rides with track, Screen goes to drive down the outside, cuts back for the inside one as Louis goes Robert. Louis gets the win. Second, Joe Screen. Third place, Carl Stonier. And really, Joe Screen certainly let that one slip. I think he thought he got it sewn up just after 1 lap, and suddenly Chris Louis was there on the inside, and he was past Joe Screen before Joe Screen even realised it. So that keeps this meeting absolutely wide open, with Chris Louis beating Joe Screen there in heat number 9, and it now leaves Dean Barker as the only unbeaten rider.
And the result of heat number 9, a tremendous heat there, with a win in white for Chris Louis. His winning time was 62.5 seconds. Second in blue was Joe Screen, and third in red, Carl Stonier. Time once again for that one, 62.5 seconds.
Number 10 it is, and we bring him to a line as David Hammond will set the scene for us.
Thanks, Peter. Yes, let's look at the lineup then for heat number 10. David Walsh rides in red, Calvin Tatum in the blue helmet colour, Dave Norris in white, and Alan Rossiter in yellow-black. That's your lineup then for heat number 10.
Heat 10, we move on to now with the pointless David Walsh in red. Calvin Tatum is in blue. He's only got the 2 points as well, so one of the fancied qualifiers with a lot to do after 2 rides. Dave Norris is in white on the 1 point mark, and Alan Rossiter in yellow and black. Then for heat 10, a clean break, and Norris makes a good gate on number 3. Dave Walsh trying to squeeze for me, and Calvin Tatum's been a dreadful start. He's back in third place a moment with an awful lot to do again in this one. But Tatum gets around the edge of Walsh to move through the second as Norris leads into that Coventry corner lap 1. Tatum's come from last to second, Walsh in third, Rossiter at the back, so 2 pointless riders in Rossiter and Walsh battling it out through the points to the back in the seat 10. As Norris pulling the field of Tatum was somewhat subdued. Calvin telling me this evening after starting off the season in tremendous form for the Peterborough Panthers. They had a lot of machine problems over the last few meetings and not looking at his top form in the season. But taking nothing away from Dave Norris. He's got a clear lead at the moment. Tatum still there in second place. Walsh in third. Rossiter are totally tumbled off the back and starting to spread themselves again now in the seat 10. But I say that Tatum's making inroads into that lead of Norris. They start lap 4 then. Norris from Tatum, Walsh in third, Rossiter at the back. And the back straight once again. And 5 length between Norris and Tatum. What will Tatum try on this last corner? Norris right in the mid-track. Tatum cuts for the inside, but he hasn't got the speed to get there, or has he? It's Norris just then from Tatum with Walsh in third place. And Dave Norris, like Joe Squid in the race previous, seemed to ease off a little bit and suddenly realised Tatum was right there with him as they took the checker flag.
Result then of heat number 10 and a winning white for David Norris in a time of 63.2 seconds. Second in blue is Calvin Tatum and third in red David Walsh. Time once again 63.2 seconds.
Heat 11 then. Sean Wilson rides in red, Andy Smith in blue. Mark Lollam on the 5-point mark is in white, Scott Smith yellow and black. So win here for Mark Lollam and moving up to 8 along with Joe Screen and Chris Louis. And then we look to see what Dean Barker does in heat number 12. Again, we wait for these riders to come into line for heat number 11. Just waiting now for Andy Smith to come in into that 2 gate. So Wilson, Smith, Lorman, Smith. A clean right shot as Andy Smith makes a good start. Wilson gets back, gets the corner through, gets nicely through on the inside Smith, but he hasn't got the horsepower to hold Lorman at bay. Lorman gets thrown on the outside Wilson. Wilson comes again back up the inside. Scott's within third, and surprisingly, Andy Smith at the back, and they come to complete lap 1, which Andy Smith gets inside Scott Smith, locks it up right in front of Scott Smith as Lorman then from Wilson, and Scott Smith falls again for the second time during the course, and he goes down an untidy heat on that pit's corner as Lauren clear of Wilson. It's Andy Smith in third as they come on to complete lap number 2. So a winning, I say, for Mark Lauren, moving up to the 8-point mark. Wilson, the surprise package of this meeting so far. He gets a second place here, that gives him 7. It's Andy Smith in third. I think his chance of regaining his British crown have gone now with only a third place in this one as Mark Lauren well clear than Wilson. Smith in third, into the pits corner on lap number 4. Mark Lauren takes the wide line. Sean Wilson wide in the mid-track position. Smith in third place as down the back straight they go once again. And out of that Copley bend, 8 out of 9 for Mark Lauren. He gets to win. Good points again to Sean Wilson. Second, third place, it's Andy Smith.
Well, a good encounter for Mark. David will bring us the full classified check of the results just as soon as Mark has done his rounds. But a good win for him there.
So the result of heat number 11 and a winning white for Mark Lorham. His winning time was 62.8 seconds. Second in red was Sean Wilson, and third in blue, Andy Smith. Time once again, 62.8 seconds.
Things on target, Chris?
Yeah, things, I've dropped 1 point, but I'm hoping that everybody's going to drop 1 point by the end of the meeting.
You've got a special, your special testimonial meeting.
Yeah, during the 29th, it'll be the second leg of Javi's testimonial as well, so I'm sure it's going to be serious entertainment, but we're all out for a win.
Well, we'll look forward to that, and we'll wish you all the best for the rest of the day.
Cheers.
Thank you, Chris Louis in the pits, as we turn our attentions to the start of heat number 12 with Gary Havelock, Gary Stead, Dean Barker, and Scott Nichols.
So heat 12, the interval heat. We've got Gary Havelock. He's on 5 points. He's in red. Gary Stead, 2 points in blue. Dean Barker, 6 points in white. And Scott Nichols, a 1 point in yellow and black. So if Dean Barker were to win this, he would be the meeting leader at the interval stage. If Gary Havelock were to win it, then you'd have 4 riders on 8 points, sharing the lead of the meeting with Sean Wilson next on 7. Settling for heat 12. A clean break and Havelock's made a silver stop. Barker's trying to squeeze on the inside. Gary Stead gets squeezed. hectic first corner, and there goes Scott Nichols round the edge. But it's all happening on the first corner, but Havelock shows Nichols the fence, and he has to throttle back and drop to third. In fact, Scott Nichols is now packed up as it's Havelock who shows them to Norris. It's dead in third with Scott Nichols at the back. A hectic first corner again, as it so often is in these British finals, and Scott Nichols are on the steering end of it there along with Gary Stead. But it's Gary Havelock who leads, coming to complete lap number 2. Barker in second. It's Stead in third, so it stages where we've got 4 riders on the 8-point mark at the interval stage of this 1997 British final. But Gary Havelock, a subdued opening ride, is hitting back now, looks like winning his second and third outings. Barker looks like dropping his first point of the afternoon. Stead going to pick up his third consecutive third place. They move on to lap 4. Scott Nichols just checking his machine on the centre green. Havelock in his leads. Then that back straight, long look over his shoulder, telling him he's got 20 yards on Dean Barker. It's Stead still in third place, so Gary Havelock becomes the joint meeting leader again, along with Dean Barker, Joe Screen and Chris Louis. Gary Havelock gets the win. Second, Dean Barker. Third place, Gary Stead.
Now drops the point, and at interval time, it's anybody's guess.
So the result of heat number 12, and a win in red for Gary Havelock. His winning time was 63.3 seconds. Second in white was Dean Barker, and third in blue, Gary Stead. Time once again, 63.3 seconds. Calvin Tatum 4, Carl Stonehewer also 4, Scott Nichols has 1, Sean Wilson 7, Andy Smith 4, Dean Barker 8, Neville Tatum 3, David Walsh has 1 point, Gary Havelock 8, Scott Smith has 1, David Norris 4, and Joe Screen 8 points. So that's the point scoring after 3 rides. And blue, Scott Smith in white and Chris Louis in yellow-black. That's the lineup then for heat number 13.
Heat 13 then, first race after the interval. Scott Nichols rides in red, David Walsh in blue. Scott Smith in white, and one of the 4 joint meeting leaders, Chris Louis in yellow and black. And with all due respect to the 3 other participants in this heat number 13, Chris Louis ought to collect the 3 points he needs in this one. But Chris has never had the best of luck in British finals, yet to win it. I think may well stand a good chance here this afternoon. So Louis on gate 4. It's Scott Smith on gate 3, David Walsh gate 2, and Scott Nichols gate number 1. And again, the eternal wait for the riders to move in up to the tapes. So Nichols, Walsh, Smith and Louis. All 4 ready. Green light comes on. And Louis gets a flyer from the outside. David Walsh gets it with him. Scott Smith dives for the inside, and down goes Scott Smith again. David Walsh is very well indeed lying on, and Scott Nichols is alongside Chris Louis. We've got a race and a half going on the front, but unfortunately the red flags have had to go out, and that's a great pity because that was a cracking one. Scott Smith falls for the 3rd time this afternoon. David Walsh is very well indeed to get the bike down. David Walsh is away and off the track. Scott Smith trapped there, the bike on top of him, he gets up, but that was a pity. That one had to be stopped because, my word, we really have a race between Chris Louis and Scott Nichols at the front, the 2 Ipswich teammates. So Scott Smith, okay, very eventful afternoon for the Sheffield rider.
And now referees ruled that an unsatisfactory start had been restarted then with all 4 riders.
So referee Tony Steele, in fact, allows all 4 back into the restart of heat number 13. I thought, I saw it, Scott Smith of his own accord, but he's allowed back into this restart. So Scott Nichols gate 1, David Walsh gate 2, Scott Smith gate 3, Chris Louis gate number 4. before something then for heat 13 restart. A clean break, and Lewis made a super start, and Scott Nichols has got out with him again. Nichols gets the corner first, but this time Lewis got the horsepower to get round the outside. Nichols comes again at the inside, but Louis knows too much for him. It's Louis who shows in for Nichols. Walsh in third with Scott Smith at the back as the two at Chris Waters first and second. They complete lap one. Walsh in third place. Scott Smith at the back. David Walsh having a dreadful British final. Of course, he was the shop merchant a couple of seasons ago, and in fact led the meeting after two races, but not putting it together here this afternoon. There's Louis then. Three important points. Rolling in his grass here as he leads complete lap two. Nichols in second. It's Walsh in third place, and if Louis wins this one, it puts the pressure on Havelock, Barker and Screen to win their next rides. As Louis takes a wide line coming out of that Coventry turn. Clear leader then as he starts his last lap. Quick look over his shoulder. Says Nicholson in second. He looks back to see Walsh in third. Scott Smith well off the pace of that, and Walsh put out there in this restarted heat number 13 as Chris Louis there who leads into the Coventry turning through for his, coming through for his third victory of the afternoon. Chris Louis gets the win. Second Scott Nichols. Third place it's David Walsh.
One of the hot contenders for today's championship. Chris Louis, your race winner at a heat 13.
Well then on heat number 13, and a win in yellow-black for Chris Louis. His winning time was 63.2 seconds. Second in red was Scott Nichols, and third in blue, David Walsh. Time once again, 63.2 seconds.
So heat 14 then, a pointless Alan Rossiter rides in red. Gary Havelock, one of the 8-point men, needs a win here to keep pace with Chris Louis. He is in blue. Sean Wilkes on the 7-point mark in white. Neville Tatum in yellow and black. So Rossiter, Havelock, Wilson and Tatum. Just waiting for Ross to come into that one gate. Now we're all four ready for heat 14. A clean break, and Havelock makes a good stop. Wilson with a dreadful game, but he goes stormy into that. Wilson leads into that pits corner. Lap number one, he takes Neville Tatum wide. Rossiter in third, and Gary Havelock finding himself at the back at the moment. He can't afford the last place here. There's Sean Wilson again, back to his winning ways in this one. He leads complete lap number one. It's Rossiter in second, Tatum in third, and Havelock back in behind men. Rossiter hasn't scored yet. Tatum has only got three. Havelock tries to get through, lifts, and while this is all happening at the back, Sean Wilson's pulling a mile away at the front. As Wilson then from Rossiter, Tatum in third. Tatum makes a mistake, and Havelock slips in the third place. But if Sean Wilson can win this one, he's really going to bring himself back into contention. He's a mile clear the front to move. Then have back straight once again. Rossiter in second. Havelock's up the third and pushing Rossiter now for that second place position. Tatum towered up at the back as they come on to start lap four then. Wilson from Rossiter. Havelock trying to drive inside Rossiter on that pit, but moves Rossiter over. Locks them again as Havelock, and Rossiter hangs on to that second place as Sean Wilson comes through for his second winning ride of the afternoon. That moves him up to the 10-point mark. Sean Wilson gets the win. Second is Alan Rossiter. Third place, Gary Havelock. Disastrous ride there for the Bradford skipper, but what a good ride again by on the touch, Sean Wilson.
So the result of heat number 14, and a win in white for Sean Wilson. And Sean's winning time, 63.1 seconds. Second in red was Alan Rossiter, and third in blue, Gary Havelock. Time once again, 63.1 seconds. And we now come to heat number 15, and what a heat this is going to be, because we've got Joe Screen riding in red, Mark Loram is in blue, Dean Barker in white, and Kelvin Tatum in yellow-black.
So heat number 15, Joe Screen on the 8-point mark, rides in red, gate number one. Mark Loram, 8-point mark in blue, gate 2. Dean Barker, 8-point mark in white, gate 3. And Calvin Tatum, who's absolutely desperate for points, he's only got 4 points. He's on gate number 4. Something's got to give in this heat number 15. And with Sean Wilson winning that one, it means that Lorem or Screen or Barker, somebody's got to come in second and third, and that really is going to move the unattached rider up this score chart with just one ride to go. Joe Screen 1, teammate Mark Lorem on 2, Dean Barker gate 3, another shot man this afternoon. Calvin Tatum a shot for another reason, he's only got 4 points after 3 rides, he's on gate number 4. Nobody wants to come into line first for what really is a vital win for all 4 riders in this one for various reasons. Obviously, Chris Louis will be watching with the pits to see what happens here. Green light comes on, a clean break, and Lawrence made a superstar. Tatum's got it with him. Barker gets to his screen, trying to squeeze from inside, but Tatum gets round the outside. Everybody leads down the back straight, but he's gone too wide and Screen hits the front and holds back Tatum on the outside. Lawrence trying to come back on the inside, and Tatum trying to come back the outside with Barker at the back as they come and complete lap 1 then. It's Screen under pressure from both Lawrence and Tatum, and Lawrence dives through on the inside. Screen pushes Screen wide, Screen comes back round the outside, and Lawrence comes again back up the inside, and Tatum's got finished shed. Barker's at the back as Lauren pushes Screen wide again. That Coventry turn. Screen cuts back for the inside run, but Lauren's a bike up with 2 completed. Lauren then from Screen, Tatum and third now coming in the fresh lap 3rd place from Dean Barker. They make their way to the back straight once again, and I think Lauren's got the measure of Screen at the moment, and Barker's pressing Tatum hard for that 3rd place position as Lauren shows in from Screen. It's Tatum in third, looking back anxiously because Dean Barker's right there with him. That struck for the 3rd place position. Mark Lauren's going to pick up 3 crucial points here. Joe Screen's going to drop into the point as Mark Lauren sets himself up with Chris Louis with the joint meeting leaders with 1 ride to go. Mark Lauren gets the win, 2nd Joe Screen, 3rd place Calvin Tatum. Hectic action in heat number 15.
So the result then of heat 15 and a win in blue for Mark Lorem in a time of 63.2 seconds. 2nd in red was Joe Screen, and 3rd in yellow-black Calvin Tatum. Time once again 63.2 seconds.
Spring on 10. Early days yet, as they say, but he's 16, Andy Smith, Carl Stonier, Gary Stead, and David Norris.
So heat 16, and everybody's taken their 4 rides. Got joint leaders on 11 with Chris Louis and Mark Lorem. Then equal 2 riders then for equal with 3rd place, the shockman Sean Wilson and Joe Screen. Heat number 16 sees Andy Smith riding in red, Carl Stonier in blue, Gary Stead in white, Dave Norris, the best place of these riders with a win, and a 3rd place, he's in yellow and black. So Andy Smith, it's a good job Andy's already through as a Grand Prix rider, because he's back on the 4-point mark at the moment. He's on gate number 1. Carl Stonier been in the thick of the action all afternoon again. He's on the 4-point mark, gate 2. Gary Stead with 3 third places, gate 3, and Dave Norris on the 4-point mark. He's on gate number 4. Just waiting for Andy Smith to settle in that number 1 gate. He now moves in the line. Away to a clean start. Smith made a good start. Stonier gets it with Norwich. Back sleeps around the edge. Everybody leads into that pit one. But Stonier moves him over and goes for the first. Andy Smith drops in a 3rd, but Stead gets back around the edge of Andy Smith. As Stonier shows in for Norwich. It's Stead in 3rd. Andy Smith on the back of the come to complete lap 1 then. Still Stonier from Norwich. Stead in 3rd. Smith on the back. So the Premier League rider leading 3 Elite League riders on this Coventry track at the moment. As down the back straight they go on lap number 2. He had that shot 3rd place last year. He's going to be good at getting himself again after a shaky opening ride here again this afternoon. Estonia then from Norwich. Stead in 3rd. Smith at the back. I say it's the touch of it doesn't need the points to qualify. He's a Grand Prix rider, so he will go through. But he's certainly been struggling with points here this afternoon. But Carl Stonier increasing lead all the time over East Bourne's Dave Norris. Gary Stead locks it up on the inside of that Coventry turn. Andy Smith has got round Gary Stead and gets into that 3rd place. There's a bad mistake there by Gary Stead on that Coventry bend. As Stonier leads the back straight on lap 4. Norwich in 2nd, Smith in 3rd. Stead at the back, so good points coming up again for Carl Stonier. He gets the win. 2nd, Dave Norris. 3rd place, it's Andy Smith.
There goes Stoney. with a race win under his belt. Long time coming perhaps, but it is there. So an interesting set of equations now with the riders, as David, my colleague up in race control, will survey the scene for us just as soon as he's calculated it correctly. And then we'll move into the fifth and final sets of rides for the competitors. Heat 16, though, the results coming up in a moment.
Time was 63.7 seconds. Second in yellow-black was David Norris, and third in red, Andy Smith. Time once again, 63.7 seconds.
So we move in then to the closing section of this 1997 British Speedway Championship final. Heat 17, coming to a line in a moment. Chris Louis, top place man so far on 11, is in red. You cannot dismiss Sean Wilson, a sparkling performance for him this afternoon. He's in blue. David Norris going to give it his best shot, as Dean Barker, early up in yellow. So, a good turnaround there for Heat 17 as we bring them out. Championship trophies are waiting for the winners on the rostrum, along with the new GM motor. That will be collected by today's champions. So too, the Jack Parker Memorial Shield, which is now being given to the British champion at this event yearly. Joe Screen had the honour of taking the first winner's name on that last year.
So on we go to those last four vital races. Chris Louis rides in red in heat number 17. He's on the 11-point mark. To win here, we'll put him on 14 and put the pressure on Mark Lorham. In blue on the 10-point mark. If he were to win this one, it could throw the meeting absolutely wide open. Sean Wilson rides in blue. Dave Norris taking two on the trot on the 6-point mark in white. And Dean Barker, you can't rule him out, he's got 8 points as well. He's in yellow and black. So this is the vital one, this heat number 17. Looking at the closing rides, it looks as if Joe Screen has got the easier one in the heat 18. So anything can happen in these last four races. So Louis on 1, Wilson on 2, Norris on 3, Barker gate number 4. Now moving into line, Wilson watching Louis' every move on that inside gate. Louis just checking the cutout. Now he's ready. He comes into line. We just wait for Sean Wilson to come into line in that number 2 gate. So Louis, Wilson, Norris and Barker. Heat 17 of the 1997 British final. We just wait for Barker to settle in that 4 gate. All 4 ready, green lights on, a clean break, and Wilson made a good game, but Louis just sets the corner for Wilson, goes to drive round the outside, keeps Barker wide, then cuts back for the ins, but Wilson makes a mistake, and Norris almost gets inside, and Barker's gone on the outside in the second place, as Louis shows in from Barker. Wilson third, is Norris at the back of the complete lap number 1 then. Louis then from Barker, Wilson in third place, Norris at the back in that first corner could be so crucial. Wilson trying to get round the outside, Louis got boxed out by Dean Barker, who comes right back into contention. He gets the second place here, but looking pretty good for Chris Louis at the moment, as Louis still shows in from Barker. Wilson third, Norris at the back, and down the back straight they go once again, and this win here will give Chris Louis 14 points and put the onus very much on Mark Lorham in his last ride. As Louis then onto lap 4, clear then of Barker, still Wilson in third. Norris is backed up at the back of the move into that pits corner once again. I don't think a third place here will be good enough to see Sean Wilson get on to Roston, but what a tremendous performance he's put up here this afternoon. He's clearly qualified quite easily, as it's a win there for Chris Louis. 14 points for him. Second, Dean Barker. Third place, Sean Wilson.
In heat 17.
So the result of heat number 17, and a win in red for Chris Louis in a time of 64 seconds exactly. Second in yellow-black was Dean Barker, and third in blue, Sean Wilson. Time once again for that one, 64 seconds. Dead.
Smith is in red, Alan Rossiter blue, Scott Nichols white, and Joe Screen in yellow and black. Testing time for Joe. Sitting on 10 at the moment and needs a race win to be on the rostrum.
So heat 18, Andy Smith rides in red, Alan Rossiter in blue, Scott Nichols in white, Joe Screen yellow and black. So Joe Screen ought to be on course for 3 points here. That will move him up onto 13. He obviously can't retain his British crown now, but If he were to win this and get 13, I think he's assured certainly of third place and the possibility of second, depending on what Mark Lauren does in heat number 19. So Smith, Rossiter, Nichols and Screen, all four ready at clean break, and Screen's been a dreadful game and finds himself in last place at the moment as this roster leads the backspin on lap number 1, and going around the outside there is the rider in white who is Scott Nichols, and Joe Screen has got problems at the back, and Joe Screen's not going to score here as they come to the complete lap 1, and it's Scott Nichols who shows in from Alan Rosser in second, Andy Smith in third as they make their way to the back straight once again. Joe Screen coasting round with that sick bike as Nichols shows in from the rider in blue, Alan Rosser in second, Andy Smith trying to come round the outside line as they move into that pits corner once again. Nichols and Smith has got round the outside, Rosser to move to the second, Rosser trying to come back through into second place as they make their way to the back straight on lap number 3. It is Scott Nichols coming through well on course to pick up his first race win of the afternoon, but he's a little bit slow there. He looks as if he's got Scott Nichols has got bike problems at the finish still, rattling round just about keeping going as Nichols shows in from Smith. It's Rossiter in third as Nichols, well ever slowing bike, leads into that Coventry corner for the time. Smith's cruising on round the outside, but Nichols is just going to hang on when Scott Nichols gets the win. Second, Andy Smith. Third place, it is Alan Rossiter.
In the wind-up section of the British final.
So the result then of heat number 18, and a win in white for Scott Nichols. His winning time was 64.3 seconds. Second in red was Andy Smith, and third in blue, Alan Rossiter. Time once again, 64.3 seconds.
Lead in heat 19 is Mark Loram, David Welsh in blue, Gary Havelock white, Carl Steinhuer in yellow and black. So all eyes on the GP rider Mark Loram here.
So heat 19 comes up then, Drumama with Joe Screen finishing last by bike problems. That means he's not going to be on the roster on heat 19. Mark Loram needs a win to force a run-off with Chris Louis. David Walsh in blue, Gary Havelock needs the points in white, Carl Stonehuer in yellow and black. If Gary Havelock in fact were to win this one, he would move up to 12 and in fact get the third place on the rostrum. Lauren, of course, needing the win to force a run-off with Chris Louis. So Mark Lauren on gate 1, teammate David Walsh on gate 2, another teammate Gary Havelock gate 3, and Carl Stonehuer gate number 4. Could be the spoiler in this one. Heat 19, all four settle then for 19. A clean break, and Lauren makes a super start. Walsh gets to the Stonehuer, gets some action around this, and Stonehuer gets round this, and back Stonehuer leads. Then the back's on lap number 1, Lauren and second, Havelock in third. They're bunching up there to move into that Coventry corner then on lap number 1. Stonehuer's put a shock merchant, the I-40 Coventry has fallen in the upper part here. As Stonehuer shows in for Lauren, it's Havelock in third place, and Lauren gets inside Stonehuer. Stonehuer gets back round the outside. Stonehuer won't give way there, and Lauren and Stonehuer shoulder to shoulder. Havelock in third place as they move into that Coventry corner once again. It's still Lauren then. Carl Stonehuer trying to cut back for the inside run. And if Havelock stays in third place, it means that Sean Wilson will finish third in this British final. But Havelock starting to peg back the ground. And Carl Stonehuer now needs to settle for that second place. There's Lauren then clear of Stonehuer. Havelock in third as they make their way on to start lap 4. Lauren from Stonehuer. Havelock in third place. David Walsh the back. As down the back straight they go for the full time. And Havelock's pegging back the ground on Carl Stonehuer. And Stonehuer's visibly slowing up in second place. As Mark Lowe was going to get the win to force that run off there with Chris Louis. Oh, and Carl Stonehuer's lost the second place. Carl Stonehuer has lost that second place, and that means a run-off between Havelock and Wilson for third.
Right on the line. But no disputing Mark Loram controlling that one. And as we say, one heck of a second place there between these two as we come around Stoney and Gary. So we've seen some real rip snorting action today. Well, we know Mark won it, but what about that place? Come on, let's go much here. A real hard-fought battle for second position. I will await the confirmation from race control.
Super action heat 19. I thought Carl Stone you might with a smaller, but I think in the end he's only
So the
finished in
result
third
of heat
place
number
in that race.
19 and a winning red for Mark Loram. And it was certainly very close for second place, but on the line in yellow-black, Carl Stonehewer. And 30 white was Gary Havelock. 63.9 the winning time. Once again.
Still saw that one different to me because he's given Carl Stone the second place in that race. That means that Sean Wilson is third in the 1997 British final. What a tremendous performance for the unattached rider. So it means, of course, Carl Stone, the shot third place man last year, has qualified again. And according to my reckoning, if Calvin Tatum doesn't win this one, he's not going to get in one of those 6 qualifying places. So everything to go for in heat number 20. Calvin Tatum gate 1, Scott Smith gate 2, Neville Tatum gate 3, Gary Stead gate 4, heat 20. Away and Tatum's made a supersonic start with the inside, but Neville has got over him. Calvin to Neville. Neville in fact trying to get round the edge of Calvin. Neville's looking all the time, but Calvin, a little bit of T-Rod in there in that pits corner, and Neville slows right up and he's trying to T-Rod. I think he made a few bike covers there. Calvin Tatum shows for Neville Tatum. It's Stead in third place with Scott Smith at the back as they make their way into that pits corner once again. Calvin Tatum now pulling clear thanks to a lot of help from Brother Neville on that first corner as they move into that Coventry corner once again. I think these 3 points will just get Calvin Tatum the last qualifying place. There's Calvin Tatum and Neville Tatum. There's Gary Stead in third. Scott Smith completely tailed off in the back as they make their way down that back straight once again. It's going to be Calvin Tatum coming through the pick of his first race win of the afternoon. He starts lap 4, well clear of Neville Tatum. Stead in third. Scott Smith completely tailed off in the back and they make their way down the back straight then for the follow time. Calvin Tatum looking all the time over his left shoulder. His brother Neville still hanging on to that second place position as Calvin Tatum gets a crucial win. Second is Neville Tatum. Third place, Gary Stead. And I think that's just got Calvin Tatum the last place.
5-1 for the Tatums, I suppose. All right, we'll wait for the full results to come from race control and the word on the run-offs. But certainly, as you know, and Chris Louis and Mark Loram equal at the moment. But get the results of this one first from David up in race control.
Thanks, Peter. Yes, the result of heat number 20 and a winning red for Calvin Tatum. His winning time was 64 seconds exactly. Second in white was Neville Tatum and third in yellow-black, Gary Stead. Time once again, 64 seconds exactly.
Thanks for that, David. We're just obviously down with Trevor Hedge on the infield. It's Trevor's motor, which will be going to the British champion, who will be crowning a little later on, along with the SCB trophy, the BSPA trophies as well, and the Jack Parker Memorial Shield. So quite a lot for the British champion to take away this afternoon. And we're just looking at the 6 riders who will go forward to the overseas. And of course you can count out Chris Louis, Mark Loram and Andy Smith already in the Grand Prix, so they obviously don't need to go that far. So it's the next 6 down who will. Sean Wilson, without a question of a doubt, with a good score of 11 from him. Then 3 on 10, Dean Parker, Gary Havelock, Joe Screen, Carl Stone here at 9, and Calvin Tatum on 8. That's the way it looks, just to put a finer point to it. So the runoff coming up, we guess.
So there'll be a run-off for the reserve position between Scott Nichols and Dave Norris, and of course a run-off for the British final between Chris Louis and Mark Loram.
So 2 riders coming trackside for the run-off then for the reserve position for the overseas final between Ipswich's Scott Nicholl in red and Eastbourne's Dave Norris in white. It's a good performance by Scott Nichols. He had a last in his first ride and he picked up 5 of his 6 points from his 4th and 5th rides to bring him in contention here. They've actually scored identical. Norris had 1 race win, 1 second, 1 third, and Scott Nichols has got exactly the same. So this is to see who goes in at a reserve for the overseas. As I said, that win for Calvin Tatum got in the last place, qualifying place.
in white.
So they settle then for race 21, the run-off full reserve. A clean start, they get the gate exactly together, and it's Norris who gets the corner first. Nichols trying to squeeze through on the inside, but Norris just a quicker line back round the outside. The bike between them going to the back straight on lap number 1 then. There's Norris from Nichols. I'm sure Scott Nichols had bike problems his last ride, so whether he's had time to get that sorted out, we don't know. He's looking down rather ominously at the machine, and Dave Norris letting himself a 10-15 yard lead at the moment. It's Nichols in second place, and clearly looks as if, yes, Norris has got the difference of the straight. Scott Nichols has got bike problems. I say he had bike problems in his last outing. He just got the bike home, and he's trying to keep it going, but looks like Dave Norris is going to pick up this one off for the reserve place. Scott Nichols has got going again, but obviously he's got major problems with that machine. Didn't have time in the break to get it sorted out, so it's Dave Norris with a clear lead then onto his last lap. Scott Nichols seems to have got the bike going pretty well now, but it's too late as they move on to lap 4. Norris cleared Nichols shaking his head as he's got problems again as he starts his last lap. So Eastbourne's Dave Norris is going to get the reserve berth for the overseas final at Bradford later on in the season, and Dave Norris is looking to see where Scott Nichols is. In fact, he didn't look back once at Dave Norris, he just kept going, and Scott Nichols is not going to complete the course. So Dave Norris is who picks up that reserve place. We now wait to run off the first place.
So the winner of the run-off then in white, that was David Norris in a time of 64.8 seconds. Second, of course, was Scott Nichols in red. 64.8 then his winning time. And the run-off now for the British final. Chris Louis will be riding in red. Chris Louis in red. Mark Lorham will be in white. We understand that Mark Lorham won the toss, has elected to take the outside gate.
The roll of bikes then brings us down to the do-or-die run-off to become British Speedway champion 1997. Let's see who you're cheering for now. Competing in red, representing Ipswich, Chris Louis. All right, from
So the riders coming on track for this one off for the 1997 British Championship. Neither rider's ever won it before. This is Mark Lorham's 5th British final. Chris Louis, this is his 8th. He's been on the rostrum a couple of occasions, so there's going to be a new name on this British final trophy here this afternoon. But when you look at the qualifiers, one or two of the French riders have really struggled this afternoon. Andy Smith way down on the 7-point mark. He wouldn't have qualified apart from being a Grand Prix rider. Calvin Tillham just snatched that last place. In fact, Chris Louis beat Mark Lorham when they met in heat number 1, way back in heat 1. Louis won it with Lorham in second place.
Here we go, through the line then. Mark Lorham, Chris Louis. One is going to be British champion. The other one, the runner-up, Sean Wilson, is already here on the rostrum in 3rd place. So this is it.
So the two riders in then for this run-off to decide the point that Chris Louis dropped was to Gary Havelock in heat number 5. So Louis beat Lorham in 1, and then he dropped his point to Havelock in heat 5. So Louis on the inside, Mark Lorham almost alongside him. Looks like Louis got gate 2, and Mark Lorham's taking a rather wide gate 3. So the run-off for the 1997 British Championship. Final race of the afternoon, the 22nd race. Louis again checking everything's okay. Both these, of course, in the Grand Prix already, but looking for that British crown this afternoon. Two riders settle. The Bradford fans roar on the pits corner. The Ipswich fans roar on the back straight. Green lights on. A clean break, and Louis made a superstar on the inside. Lorham gets it, and Lorham can't keep the front wheel in, but Lorham screws it on round the outside. Louis comes for the inside. Lorham again round the outside, and Louis left him nothing. Lorham almost went for the fence there, and that's cost him a few yards, and he clearly had the throttle back there because Chris Louis was about to leave him nothing, but Lorham's got four on the inside. That's a tremendous ride there by Mark Lorham. Then he's gone wide again. Louis cuts back for the inside one, and Louis retakes it. Lorham again back round the outside as Lorham shows in for Louis, and that's a tremendous ride by Mark Lorham on that first lap, and Louis back in contention again as they complete lap 2. Lorham for Louis, 2 lights between them as they roar into that pits corner. One's in, Lauren's gone wide. Louis gets so on the inside, lifts and he's left Lauren nothing. And as Mark Lauren thrown it away as Chris Louis roars back to the inside line. It's Louis 5-6 bikes then clear Lauren as they come on to start lap 4. And Lauren makes a move on the inside and leaves Louis nothing on the outside of that pits corner. And Louis is not going to recover from that. And Mark Lauren is going to be the 1997 British champion. That's a real hard one up between those two. But it's Mark Lauren becomes British champion. Second place, Chris Louis. Looks as if Mark Lauren had thrown it. But he let Chris Louis through on the inside. But he took up the speed on that Coventry corner and went racing after Louis. And he left Louis absolutely nothing on that pits corner. Louis had to throttle back or go into the boards. And Mark Lauren is the 1997 British champion. That's from Bradford. Second from Ipswich, which is Chris Louis. And former Bradford rider Sean Wilson gets the 3rd place.
Speedway. Chris Louis right here, and the new British champion is Mark Lauren.
Certainly tremendous stuff. Let's give you the official result. The winner in white, that's Mark Lauren, in a time of 65.2 seconds. 65.2 then, the winning run-off there. Second, of course, Chris Louis. Mark celebrating around the straight there.
Coming onto the track now for the provisional bumps of the soon-to-be crowned British champion, Mark Lauren. There we go. So, what a race and a half that run-off turned out to be. As we're going to bring our 3 rostrum-placed riders down to the line to meet the VIPs to collect the awards for 3rd, runner-up and British champion. The awards for the British champion, as we told you, are the BSCA trophy, the Speedway Control Board trophy, the Jack Parker Memorial Shield, and of course a brand new glinting GM engine. So that all goes to Mark Lauren. We'll meet them, all 3 of them, down on the rostrum in a moment. About to leave the pits area to bring the 3 rostrum-placed riders from this 1997 British Final Championship down to the podium where the awards await for them. So come on everyone, we've had some great Sunshine Speedway today. Let's give them a round of applause. We want to hear the air horns. We want to see you waving as well as all 3 come to the line. So a great event, hard-fought battle on the track as well. Ladies and gentlemen, in 3rd place for this British Championship is Sean Wilson. Right here, Sean, well done. The garland from Pam Hedge, and the kiss as well. And the BSBA 3rd place trophy from Chairman Terry Russell. Thank you, Sean, in 3rd place there. As you saw be happening before your very eyes, today's runner-up is Chris Louis. Well done, Chris. So the garland again from Plan Hedge for runner-up Chris Louis. And the second place trophy from BSBA chairman Terry Russell. So Chris then into second position. The ladies and gentlemen, the 1997 British Speedway champion is Mark Lawrence. Well done, Mark. So the garland from Pan. Terry Russell has the BSBA British Champions Trophy. Hang on, Mark, wait, finish yet. Oh, he slides up. Carl Smith has the Jack Parker Memorial Shield. There it is. Good old Carl, former Coventry rider. That is also Mark's as well. And now, Trevor Hedge is going to be a weightlifter. As he lifts up, hopefully, the new GM. You've got to lift it. You've got to lift it. All right, that goes there. Trevor has the winner's new GM motor. It's like Christmas Day for you, Mark, isn't it? Yeah. So a handshake then from Trevor Hedge, our mainline meeting sponsor. David Hughes, the manager of the Speedway Control Board, has the STB Champions Trophy for British champion. Oh, let's finish the awards yet. Come on, David. So there is the official way. There's enough hands here. There it is, the STB Trophy from David Hughes. Ladies and gentlemen, the British champion, Mark Lawrence. Just what we said, we're just grabbing the Bradford fans. Mark Lawrence, what a day!
Yeah, it's fabulous. You know, I haven't had a very good run at Coventry in the past year, so I had nothing to lose today, and I come here pretty relaxed, and I ended up winning it, so I'm over the moon.
What about that run-up between you and Chris?
Yeah, I think I would have liked it to be anyone else other than Chris, really, because, you know, we're such good mates, but we're both as hard on each other, I think, so that's just the way it goes. But that's 1-0 to me, and I don't look forward to another one, though.
I bet you don't. British champion, Mark Lawrence. So just get the photo call in for the members of the press who are with us today. And those of us know, like Terry Russell and myself, to move back because the champagne is about to fly. And it does. There you go. Out, everybody. Sean Wilson, Chris Louis, and Mark Lawrence. Now we're all out drink as well. Carl, let's see you give them a wave. We want to hear the air horns. It's a great day for these three gentlemen of speed. There they go. And the Bradford supporters well pleased with that result. No question about that.
Sean Wilson with me now. Sean, many congratulations. Splendid performance. You must be delighted, third place in the British final.
Yeah, very pleased. You know, it was always a very big bonus to get on the rostrum, and the main ambition I said earlier was to qualify and be on the rostrum. It was very pleasing, and you know, it's a very nice feeling, and I'm very pleased with myself, and got a couple of weeks off now, so I'm just going to chill out for a few weeks.
When you chased after Chris Louis, obviously you were looking for the win, but it almost cost you, dropped back to third place. If you'd have settled for second, you were assured of that third place, but being the racer you are, you were still chasing Chris Louis.
Yeah, it was like, you know, I made a good start with Chris, and you know, he was a very good rider, and I knew that he'd take me the whole way, and I thought, well, you know, I'm just going to try and outsmart him, which, you know, is a very hard thing to do, and I cut back ready for the thing, but as I cut back, you know, there was the other two riders very good, and we kind of got tangled, but I tried, and I caught back up to Dino, and put my best in, you know, and I'm very pleased that as the meeting went on, I got like kind of, it sounds silly, but I kind of got fitter. You know, like my first race, I was dying, I had my second race, and every race that I kind of got like felt stronger in myself. As I say, I've never run a track with this much dirt on for like since October last year, so, you know, I'm very pleased with myself, and just like to thank my sponsors very much for like putting me in the situation I'm in.
And of course, you're going to be under no pressure at Bradford. A lot of star men there, they're not going to look at you, but you know that Bradford track inside out, and there's no reason why you can't go through at Bradford as well now.
No, that's it, you know, like, I'd like to get through at Bradford, and I'm just going to take the meeting as I took this meeting, and, you know, it's just, if I can do well at Bradford, then it's another meeting for me, and it's keeping my year alive, and like, at the moment, I really need to keep my year alive, and I think that's probably why I've put an extra 100% in today, to what I would have normally done. I know it sounds silly that, but that's the way I work. And to keep my year alive until I fall into a spot or until something happens, then this is what I must keep doing. So let's hope I don't get a spot, eh? I might never know, I might go a bit further. So you know what I mean. But as I say, I really enjoy myself today, and you know, the Bradford support has been absolutely fabulous for me. Like, it was as though like I was a home rider again. Like, and I'd like the Bradford supporters were supporting me as much as any other Bradford rider, and that really spurred me on, which is a good thing because they know that I still want to be at Bradford, and they know I love Bradford. So that's great, you know, and they've really helped me today.
Sean, I've done many interviews. This is one of the most pleasurable I've ever done. I'm absolutely chuffed you've got that third place. As you know, I followed you when you were here.
Yeah, I know you did. I know.
And I am absolutely delighted you've got this third place, Sean. Many
Thank you very much.
Cheers,
Thank
Sean.
you.
Good luck. Second place man, Chris Louis. Chris, I've been watching Speedway for 30 years plus. That's one of the hardest runners I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it was going to happen one day. Obviously, I'm very disappointed to come out, you know, second again. We came here to win it today and didn't quite happen, but no, the run-off was a race that I don't think either of us ever wanted to do, but probably knew that it was going to happen one day.
It looked when you got inside him on probably lap 2 as if you got him, but he just came from nowhere, didn't he, on that third lap?
Yeah, he was picking up a lot more traction than me. The track surprised me how much it dried out between my last one and the run-off, and just couldn't make the bike go forward. Even when I got in front of him, I knew he had the legs on me every time.
I think in fairness to Colin, and the condition of sun and rain, he's produced a good racing track this afternoon.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, it's no excuse. The track was excellent all day. It just caught me out how much it suddenly went off at the end, that's all. But there's actually nothing he could do about that, and I thought the track was excellent.
Pleasing with the crowd, there was some cracking racing. You said you did your best, second place, perhaps again next year?
Yeah, obviously, hopefully we'll be here next year, and I'm not going to have 3 second places on the trot, I can guarantee that.
Well, Joe Screen had 3, then he won it, so perhaps it could be third time, then you'll win it then.
No, 2 is enough for me.
Obviously, the next thing for you is the Swedish Grand Prix.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's obviously going to be a tough one, like all of them, but it's a track that's been very difficult to ride the last couple of years, and I'm looking forward to it. It'll be good.
Overall, you must be pleased with your form so far this season.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good year, really. I mean, you know, I had a good meeting here today. Just didn't do what we came here to do.
Thanks so much, Chris. Congratulations on second place, and hard luck coming second that tremendous run-off.
Cheers. Thank you.
British champion Mark Lauren. Mark, probably one of the most hectic endings ever to a British final.
Yeah, I hope it was as enjoyable to watch, because it certainly wasn't enjoyable to ride in, but yeah, it was pretty hectic. It was both hard on each other, and it could have gone either way, and I was just the fortunate one to come out on top.
You seemed to gate together, but you lifted, and that allowed Chris the chance just to get away from you.
Yeah, that's right. It's always a hard decision where to choose to start from, and you know, it was difficult, but we got into the first corner. It's not necessarily one round the first corner, but into the next corner, and you know, it was close all the way, but you know, it's just, what can I say, really? It was just hard.
It's been a good weekend for you. You had a cracking meeting at Peterborough on Friday, won the Golden Helmet last night, and now the British champion this afternoon.
Yeah, I've been making better starts the last sort of 6-7 meetings, which obviously gives me more of a fighting chance. You know, I've always missed the starts, and hopefully it will help my confidence, and hopefully I've eventually finally got sort of the hang of it a bit more.
Was the machine you used today the machine you used at Bradford last evening, because that seemed to have plenty of power as well?
I actually started on a different one, but the first 2 races I wasn't happy with it, so I switched back to the one I used at Bradford last night. So yeah, it was certainly going good.
The Coventry track comes in for a lot of criticism. There was plenty of passing today. I don't think anybody could complain about the racing today, and Colin did a great job under difficult conditions.
Yeah, I would no complaint at all. I mean, these day meetings, you have to flood it to start with to make a better track later on. So obviously the first 5 or 6 heats do suffer a bit, but the track was magnificent. It was good last Monday was here. You know, no one can complain about the track.
Did you and Chris have words after that run-off? Not rowing, but did you to discuss it?
No, I think
it was one of the toughest run-offs I've ever seen, I think.
Yeah, we both sort of said to each other we would like someone else to be in the race other than each other, really. But you know, what can you do? You're in that position. I just hope it don't happen too many more times.
Mark Lauren, British champion. Many congratulations. Thanks for having words.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.